From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen, and proudly welcoming you into this middle of the week Wednesdays For the People for an October the 4th, 2017. We have a big show. We're going to try to move through it intelligently, thoughtfully, with a good rational dose of common sense. So if that sounds good, this is the conversation that we like to have, one around the water cooler, and it is probably something that you might be talking about or hearing about and just, again, want some sense, kind of broken it down. So that's why the program, that's why For the People. And if you're new to the broadcast, welcome you to For the People, our website, forthepeopleshow.com. Let me know that you're listening. And if you ever have any questions about where I'm coming from, where I'm talking about, what we're about and all that stuff and how you can be a part of us, our website, best way, forthepeopleshow.com. But great to be on your radio or your smartphone device. First news before we get into the Las Vegas shooting, because that's what everybody's talking about. We've been talking about it, but I started out the first hour, and if you missed it, talking about NBC fake news about Rex Tillerson. Well, there's always fake news out there, and Donald Trump has no problem doubling down on the fake news on Twitter with another tweet. And he says, wow, so many fake news stories today. No matter what I do or say, they will not write or speak truth. The fake news media is out of control. And what is he talking about? Well, Donald Trump, he's been in Puerto Rico. And the devastation, folks, literally look at the pictures. If you've not seen it before, maybe you're living in Florida, maybe you know people in Texas that might be dealing with the aftermath of Irma and Maria. I get it. I understand it. Everybody's kind of have their problems and their unique set of circumstances out there. But for me, I wasn't on the ground, but I've been to Puerto Rico. I've been to Texas. I've been different places, but I haven't been to ground zero, if you will. I haven't been there, but the pictures and the video, it allows me to connect to the real problem. And the president physically being there, meeting with survivors, meeting with people, first responders, meeting with the right appropriate officials that can help these people get the right federal funds necessary, hopefully to get to the right people there to help people. But from the fake news standpoint, when they come in there and they attack Donald Trump and disparage him and attack him, there's just so many different out of control whack jobs in the news media saying that there's a cholera outbreak there in Puerto Rico. That's one that's going on. All sorts of rampant diseases are out of control. And liberal talk show host Geraldo Rivera, he's Puerto Rican. He's got family in Puerto Rico. He even debunked it live on Fox News Channel. He's not a Republican, but he supposes that the Fox News Channel is Republican only. There's plenty of hosts on there, i.e. Megyn Kelly, who went off to NBC, which is not working out too well. I could have told you that. She didn't even know she had it so good at Fox. Ratings are terrible. She thought too highly of herself. Fox really gave her a great elevation, and she abused the power. She made some money. Go back to law. I don't think the lawyer stuff worked for her too well. Anyway, I am so happy that Geraldo called out the fake news from what he heard, because there's no cholera outbreak. There's no dengue fever outbreak. There's all this crazy talking about all these epidemics that are happening. There's not. A lot of good things are happening. Help is on the way. There's more good things happening in Puerto Rico than bad. Unfortunately, some people didn't get helped as fast as they could, and only because roads were washed out, and only by helicopter in a lot of areas in the island could you get to. But this is Job 101, Mandate 101. For the lying media, CNNs, the MSNBCs, the CBSs, all of that, it's their job to disparage, discredit the president as much as they possibly can. And thank God we have a president, commander-in-chief, that has no problem taking to Twitter, has no problem taking to the cameras and calling them from what they are because they're absolute liars. San Juan Mayor Carmen Cruz, she shook hands. They met each other. People were wondering or not if they were going to meet or anything. There was the handshake. It happened. It needed to happen. It was a formality. Everybody knows that the mayor of San Juan is liberal. Everybody knows that she spoke nice of Trump, and then somebody, Hillary Clinton, Barack Hussein Obama, called and said, you got to be ugly to Trump. You can't be nice. Changed her act and then said that he wasn't doing enough. Thank God we got Geraldo on the ground just when you need him, and he's not giving out the enemy's coordinates. I'll never forget that during Desert Storm. I don't think he'll ever forget it either. But Geraldo, he speaks his mind. He dances to his own drum, if you will, but he's telling it like it is. And they're helping. They're getting things out there as much as he's been there for a couple weeks on end, just to making sure that his people, if you will, his family lives there. A lot of his family, a lot of his aunts, a lot of his uncles, his grandmother's still alive. He's over there making sure that this relief effort is happening, and it is happening. We have leadership. We don't have time for this foolishness that's taking place with the mainstream media. Every waking chance they have to sit there and say how bad or inept this administration is. We just don't have time for it. They couldn't criticize. They couldn't speak badly of Barack Obama. That was they must have gotten memos to not do it, and then they obliged because they were programmed. Hook, line, and sinker. Obama, increasingly, I believe, was a complete 100% puppet, empty suit. He talks good. He cleans up good. He makes you feel good about yourself, but there was no leadership there. There was absolutely no leadership. I'd rather have somebody rough and tumble that gets the job done. It's funny. I work in entertainment. And, I've been in the building with a lot of on-air personalities. Some were bigger than others. Some made it, some didn't. But the ones that made money in the building usually were the loudmouths. A lot of people didn't like them for whatever reason. But management hung on to them, and for one reason. It's because they performed. They got the job done. They paid the bills for everybody in the building, and they weren't going to get rid of them. Unless they did something so awful, so horrendous, they were going to keep them. I had somebody explain it this way, and if you're still just a Trump hater, and that you'll just subscribe to anything and everything that the liberal media says, somebody said it this way. If you're going to court, and please forgive me for this crude analogy, because this doesn't encompass all my thoughts of Donald Trump and his abilities, etc. But if you want a nice guy, which many people like Donald Trump and says he can be very endearing, very charming, but do you want a nice guy always? Especially if you're trying to protect yourself and you're facing death row sentence. Do you want the nice guy? Hi, everybody. How are you? We're going to get ready to go to court, and this is my client. Or do you want somebody that's got some authority, that makes sense. They can get something done, chop, everybody listens to when he stands up. And not just stature, but because the guy follows through in what he does, what he says. A man of action. The problem is with a lot of liberals is that they're reactionary in their voice, but they're not tangibly doing anything. They have no problem flapping their gums. This is what a lot of these liberals do. They have no problem doing. And there's the microphone. And there's the banks, lights, camera, action. And it's their moment of glory, and so many of them capitalizing off the Vegas deal. Meanwhile, Donald Trump in Vegas today, consoling so many families and so many that lost loved ones or those that are in the hospital right now. Consoler-in-chief, that's his job right now, and I think he's going to do a phenomenal job with First Lady today. So we're praying for them as they are still trying themselves to wrap their head around something so awful. Just some days after, 58 people ended up dead at a country music venue. The sisters, Mary Lou, were interviewed, and I have the audio, and I want you to listen into some of what they said. Very interesting what the sisters had to say about their choice of boyfriend. I want you to listen to it. Now, remember, the sisters are in the Philippines. Mary Lou was shipped off to the Philippines, and here's a little of that interview here. Stand by here. We got it? We got the mouse that's stuck. Stand by. It's not even, if it works, if it's not funny, you can't laugh at it, but you can laugh at yourself. Yeah, that's okay. All right, here's cut one. You ready? Okay, we got it.
I know that she don't know anything as well like us. She was sent away. She was sent away so that she will be not there to interfere or put his planning.
He was sent away. She was sent. He sent her away. So you can go ahead and just plan this awful act. And if you're Mary Lou, what did I do wrong? Or did she know that he was doing something but couldn't put the pieces together? Maybe she was totally in the dark. And I hope for her benefit. I hope for her benefit and for her families that she didn't know, because if she did, the blood of all those people are on her hands. And believe me, the FBI will be interviewing and making sure. Here's another cut.
She didn't even know that she's going to the Philippines until Steve said, Mary Lou, I found you a cheap ticket to the Philippines.
Did you hear what she said? She didn't even know. It was just kind of a last-minute thing. Here it go. This guy was such a psychopath, apparently, for those that knew Stephen Paddock, when he was in the casino, he would belittle this lady. She'd want to use her player's card and said, look, I bought you a drink and I bought you things. You don't need anything. And she would just kind of back up and that she'd just be quiet. You know, the little woman, she knew her place.
He sent her away so that he can plan what he's planning without interruptions. In that sense, I thank him for sparing my sister's life, but that won't be to compensate 59 people's life.
And she could tell that this sister was brokenhearted. It wasn't staged. You could tell that Filipino people are some of the nicest people on the planet. They're just nice and giving, family-oriented, very friendly. The government, they got their issues. But Filipinos, nice, decent people. I was friends with many in school and still friends with many today. Nothing but good things. But you could tell that her heart definitely was broken.
No one can put the puzzles together. No one except Mary Lou. Because Steve is not here to talk anymore. Only Mary Lou can maybe help.
Yeah, Stephen can't talk, but maybe Mary Lou can help. the sisters don't exactly know everything that she knows. She lived with him. No,